Started seeing some shower action yesterday, pretty early in the morning, in fact, for parts of northern Minnesota. You see, this is what we're currently seeing, mostly making its way into the UP parts of the airhead, but we're mostly calming down. This is what we came in yesterday. It did include a bit of snow, a little bit of ice, though what most was showing up on the radar wasn't exactly reaching to the surface, but we were able to see a little bit more of that winter-like weather. And we look at the overall rain totals up towards International Falls, see up to 1/4 of an inch there. Parts of northern Minnesota, we have reports getting over 3/10 of an inch of rain, some even getting closer to 1/2 an inch. So we saw a decent amount of rainfall overall, especially because initially it looked like this was going to be a more of a dry type system where rain totals were going to be well under 1/4 of an inch. And many of us did stay under that, but we're able to get at least a decent amount of some parts of northern Minnesota. And as we start to go forward today, most of the showers will move on out. We do have a band making its way through right now along the North Shore. It's going to kind of continue bringing some showers to northwest Wisconsin and into the UP as we get later on today, but those showers continue moving on out of here as we go through the day. Overnight, we're going to see more clearing, especially the farther south you are, though we can continue to see a few isolated showers, which include some snow showers in far northern Minnesota once we get into the overnight hours. By the time we get to Friday, though, a high pressure system is going to continue making its way on in, and we're going to be seeing plenty of sunshine for much of the Northland. And there's a high pressure system I'm talking about right now sitting over off to the west. But before that, we're going to see a cold front rolling on through, is doing that currently right now. This is the system that's been bringing those showers, and once that cold front passes on through, you're going to see the winds be a little more blustery out of the northwest. Not very strong winds, but we're seeing gusts getting over 20 miles per hour. Strongest into northern Minnesota and near Lake Superior, where you can see probably gusts try to get closer to 30 miles per hour at times. This is going to start cooling us down into Friday. Now, as we get later this morning, early afternoon, just ahead of that cold front is where we expect those warmer temperatures to be. Some of us could get into the mid-40s on the just ahead of that cold front. And it's kind of a usual phenomenon we see as the cold front passes through. The warmest temperatures are just ahead on that leading edge. But as we start to head into the overnight hours, we're really going to start to feel the cool down. We're going to probably stay into the upper 20s in northern Minnesota, so a little bit cooler than this model is showing. Northwest Wisconsin, south along the I-35 corridor, I could suspect some of us even getting into the mid to low 20s. That's just because we're going to be having clear skies and the winds are going to be a bit calmer as we go further south, so we might have more effective radiative cooling allow for that. By the time we get to Friday, though, we're definitely going to be feeling cool for the high temperatures. This is about where we expect to be this time of year in November, where a lot of us are going to be in the 30s. Once you get into far northern Minnesota and parts of the airhead, might even be staying around, if not below freezing, for your highs on Friday. This cool down is going to be temporary because even though it's going to be seasonal on Friday, just around and up maybe a smidge on the warmer side of seasonal, those really mild temperatures are going to make their way back in through the weekend, heading even early to next week, where we can still be seeing 10 to 15 degrees above normal when it comes to those temperatures. And what that could look like is on Saturday, a lot of us back into those 40s, some upper 40s as you go further south, especially if you're along this I-35 corridor, because the further south from west you are, that's where the warmer temperatures are going to be, thanks to some Chinook winds we're going to be seeing out of the west. By the time we get to Monday, again, into northwest Wisconsin, some upper 40s, even low 50s will be possible. A little bit cooler in northern Minnesota, but we're still, all of us, mainly going to be into the 40s for those highs. And as we get into next week, we're going to start to see some rain make its way back in. Now, through the weekend during this warm-up, we're going to be staying relatively dry, maybe an isolated shower here and there. But look at this. As we start to pull into Monday, to start seeing a system roll through, a lot of the models have been showing the rain being delayed until late Monday going into Tuesday. But recent trends have made this system a little more progressive. So it looks like even as we get into the morning and early afternoon, we can start seeing that rain making its way on in. And it'll be rain at first, but colder air is going to turn it into snow once we get into Wednesday on the backside of the system here. So looks like Wednesday, we'll see how much snow we can get. Probably not going to be a lot, but we can see some places maybe get over an inch of snow, depending on what we can see with this on the path. And if we look at our upper level pattern with this system, I mentioned cold air bringing on in, and it looks like it's going to be a decent cool down because look at the upper level pattern. This large significant trough is going to develop over the central United States. So it's going to allow for some colder air out of the north to start spilling on in. And in fact, if we look at here from the Climate Prediction Center, 8 to 14 day outlook, and that puts us around Thanksgiving and going into the beginning of December. putting us right in the middle of that area where we're expecting a pretty good chance of seeing below average temperatures, and it does look like a pretty good chance. So it looks like it's going to feel a lot more like winter once we head towards the end of this coming week. Now, look at our 7-day forecast. Until then, outside of Friday, we're going to have a little bit of that cool down. We're going to be pretty mild, especially once we get into later this weekend, heading towards Monday. But we will start to cool on down as we start to head into the middle of this coming week. Look at Wednesday there, 29 for the high. It looks like it's going to start getting chilly pretty quick. And we're going to be mostly dry until then as well, until that system does bring some rain and a little bit of snow as well.